it wasn't until Rice's that I was able to get more involved with the 4-H program. I knew of the 4-H program. I've been a business owner in Bloomington for 22 years, and not until 2023 did I realize what this program was all about, what the benefits were, and honestly, looking back, kind of kicking myself in the rear for not ever, as a business owner, not ever getting involved.
Ain't it great? Season 8. We're back with the No Dishes podcast. Once again, brought to you by our friends at Visit Bloomington. Check them out at visitbloomington.com. It's a great resource, even if you're just a local looking for something to do. Also, all of our other advertisers on this episode, they help make this whole thing possible. So please show them some love. Anyways, play that theme song.
Hey, say, honey, let's go out to eat. Relieve our culinary duties. With all these restaurants to sweep us off our feet, they're bound to turn us into foodies. No dishes, no dishes, no dishes. We'll have a bottle of wine for lights and have a good time. No dishes, no dishes.
Panama. Oh, we're here with Zach Panama Martin and Jason Smiley Scott from Twin Springs Creamery. And Zach is with Red Frazier Bison and Rice's Quality Meats. Gentlemen, how we doing, fellas?
Doing good. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a long time coming. I've been chirping at you for a few years, being like, hey man, let's talk Red Frazier. And then you brought Smiley with you, and I'm really excited because I've had the Twin Springs product. This is our first time meeting. Yeah. I've go back, was that 15 years or something crazy? So yeah, we got a little good mix. We got old time friend, we got new face. So we're gonna have some fun talking Bison, Quality Meats, and Creameries. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
I want to start with the base, the Red Frazier. You know, I've been out to the old Bison farm with a group from Upland before, and it's just such a cool place. And the fact that you have these bison herds in southern Indiana roaming around, it's just cool to see. Tell us a little bit about the backstory of Red Frazier Bison.
So Red Frazier, started back in 2014. It was kind of a passion project for me that I was really, in 2010 era, I was just really wanting to get some land, do something in the agricultural world. I'd worked for a developer back when I was in my early 20s, and he had a small bison herd north of Indy, and I kind of fell in love with the animals back then. He'd hire me for little random projects, fence builds, whatever. Fell in love with them there, but, never really saw that in my cards. 20 years old and wasn't like, oh, hey, I want to own bison one day, that'd be great. But then fast forward about 10 years, it was all of a sudden, it was just kind of something that was at the forefront of my mind for forever. Then just started going down the rabbit hole, looking for ground, trying to acquire the financing. It was an interesting story walking into the banks and me being like, hey, I want to start a bison ranch in Indiana. And I got laughed out a couple of times. It was okay. It was character building.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Yep. And, and so, just kind of took the idea and just kept researching it. And at first, I kind of wanted it to be, like I said, a passion project, hobby. I wanted to own some land, take care of bison, just really just have a getaway place. But then just started realizing how a lack of exposure that bison have in Indiana. They just even in the Midwest, it's just not a super popular protein, and really does not get the respect it deserves in this area. I mean, it's just and so I knew it was going to be an educational battle to get out there and show people what the benefits of bison, because there's a list of it. Not only do they produce just an amazing steaks and burgers, a great product, but they were the original forefront of land management. back in the, in the early days of the Americas, like the bison herds that roamed through Indiana and the entire country, like they were the cornerstone of land management. They were the ones that were millions of bison trampling through the woods and, keeping that overgrowth down. We had, even fires back then that were, while they're scary now, they were very beneficial to the land, and the bison grazing, all of those different things, the impact that the bison have on the ground, literally in just their hoofs, and the way their hoofs are shaped, and the sort of rest action that it gives, the brake cycle. The bison hooves, they break up that topsoil and like start to stir that up, and that just creates regeneration, new growth, all those things. And so then I found my property. Finally got things rolling, and then started getting my first animals, and then started getting into the meat sales, and really kind of took off from there. I've got a business partner, Jennifer Carnes, she's a big part of the operation. She runs all the admin stuff, takes care of distribution, sales, all that stuff. She's a huge part of the operation. And so together we just started developing a distribution network and getting the product out there. So.
Yeah, I love it, man. What was that start like? You get the land. How do you just go about acquiring? Like, how many bison did you start out with, and then what's the progress kind of been like over the years as that herd has grown?
Right. So it was find the land and then just start on the infrastructure, starting to build the infrastructure. So as the idea progressed, I went out to, I joined the National Bison Association. Every year they have a really big conference out in Denver in January, where bison ranchers across the country all come together and mingle. And it's such a small, it's on the grand scheme of things, it's a very small group, they're in, as far as the agricultural division goes. And so there's not really a lot of competition, everybody's just kind of in it for the bison and promoting bison. And so like all of those producers out there were just an open book of information. And so I networked with people, found other operations in different states, went and visited, asked 1,000 questions, and then just took little bits and pieces from everyone. There's not one operation that can perfectly mimic. Like I've got mentors in Minnesota, Kansas, Nebraska, Canada, Colorado, Michigan, all these people. And I tried to take, a couple ideas from each place, because Indiana is a very different climate than all of those places that I just listed off.
Yeah.
And so really figuring out the right infrastructure to create the right environment for the animals. Because like one of the things I always say is that the fences we have out on the property are purely a suggestion. That is like I've quarantined these areas off, and it's like, hey, I would really prefer you stay right there. Yeah. But the only way to really do that is to create the environment that they don't want to leave.
Right.
Making sure that they have enough food, enough water, the right balance of males and females, all of those things, to where then my suggestions will hold, as long as possible. And so it was starting on the infrastructure. Whether you have one bison or 10,000, you have to have certain elements of your infrastructure. You have to be able to unload the animals. You have to be able to load the animals. You have to be able to sort the animals. You have to be able to treat the animals if there's ever, if you have one that gets sick. Or every year we do a roundup where we bring the entire herd in. They get their yearly vaccinations. We do calf ear tagging, all that kind of stuff. And so you have to have that, whether, like I said, 1 or 10,000. So it's starting to build the infrastructure on the corrals, starting to build out the rotational grazing model that we have today, running water lines, running fence, And then after that, I just kind of went out on an auction buying spree. Probably made some bad decisions here along the way. But I bought a trailer. I hooked up my truck and I headed out west. I went to the Custer State Park auction. Bought some animals out there, hauled them back, turned right around, drove out to another auction out in Kansas. bought some animals there, drove them home, and then turned around and, I think my next stop was Missouri. Went out there to another auction. There's a certain season when it comes to bison auctions.
Right.
It's not like with different livestock. There's auctions year round that you can kind of go here and there, but really the ideal time to transport the animals is in the fall and the winter. That way it's cooler out when they're traveling and sorting them, keeping the stress levels down. And so I got things lined up just in time to hit the road and get out there. And so just started acquiring animals from that. And then eventually started, buying some animals from some of my mentors that had certain genetic lines that I was after. And then bring them to the farm, release them, and just cross your fingers that they respect your fencing.
Yeah, all your due diligence paid off.
Yeah. We had a couple times that they just flat didn't. I made some mistakes. I remember one of the auctions I came back from, and it was dark, and I'm sitting there stuck with the decision of, do I unload these animals in the dark, or do I make them sit on a trailer all night without water?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, no, I want to get them, I think I need to get water to them, so I better just unload them. And then I remember unloading them into the darkness and just hearing the grunts and just the foot stomping. Just, I don't know. I just didn't have, a lot of experience with that kind of stuff. And I didn't realize that there's a certain pecking order acclimation period. And so like you let a new animal into the herd, well, every single animal in that herd is going to chase them until they know whether they can take them or not.
Right,
They kind of feel things out. And so, I just unloaded them one night, and it was
chaos.
It was just chaos. Scared me to death. I sat there just kind of listening for hours, just waiting on somebody to call me. I was driving up and down the road, making sure they were still in the pasture. Just made my mistakes along the way. But anyway, that was just how I got the first animals. Started out with about 30 that first year, and then just kept growing, kept acquiring animals. I'm hovering around 130 right now. I'm still trying to grow. There's the ups and downs of just the agricultural industry and the reality of things. And so 2023, we had a bit of a battle with copper deficiencies. And so learned a huge lesson, and, we're able to build off of that. And so, I'm still plugging away. I'd love to have more animals.
Yeah. Do you do that? Are you still acquiring some, or do you do it at this point mostly through like breeding?
So at this point, I'm breeding and rolling animals into the herd. I'm still out buying sometimes. There are certain genetic lines. I mean, when it all boils down at the end of the day, I am in the meat business. And so, I'm constantly looking for those animals that are going to give me an advantage on that side of the world. But for the most part, I've got the quality I want. Probably go out and maybe buy a bull or two over the next couple of years. But just keep breeding and building from the inside.
Yeah. So, I mean, you did all this legwork to get this thing started. Mm-hmm. I can't even begin to wrap my mind around how you project expenses and revenue. Like, when is this, calf going to be able to be processed? How much money am I going to get out of that? You have no idea what the pricing is going to be in the market at that time. How did you even put together a business plan? Are you wanting to move better, feel better, and live better? Look no further than Move Bloomington, where their small group personal training programs are designed to improve strength, balance, and flexibility. With a welcoming environment, their expertly guided workouts can help you feel supported in the life and activities you love in and out of the gym. Whether you're new to exercise, a lifelong athlete, or anywhere in between, their dedication to personalized programming will deliver sessions that meet you where you are. Get started today using the code NODISHES to get 50% off their 3-session Kickstart program.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a good one. I'm sure if I went back and looked at my original business plan, I would just laugh.
Silly me.
Silly me. Naive little Zach.
Little Zachy.
Little Zachy. So cute. That was where other producers, really came into play for me, because there's not unfortunately, there's not a YouTube video series out there that teaches you how to be a bison rancher. You can buy this book that the National Bison Association has, and they call it the Bison Handbook. I bought it.
Why wouldn't you call it the Bison Bible? I mean, you got the alliteration right there. I feel like
might
it's there.
as well. I think it'd be in quotes, small print quotes. But when it was focused on Western producers, where the majority of the bison ranchers are. And so there was some stuff I pulled out of there that was very helpful. There was also some stuff I pulled out of that book that just did not translate to Southern Indiana. But it was the other producers. The other producers were the ones that were teaching me, different conversion rates on the animals to be able to estimate the amount of meat you're going to get. There's certain percentages when it goes from a live weight to a carcass weight to a finished product package yield weight. And so those other producers were the ones that taught me kind of the ins and outs of that portion of the business. Now, then when it came to what to charge, for bison meat, I didn't have, someone else could be like, oh, well, my competition is charging this, and so that took a little bit of figuring out. We just kind of had to throw some numbers out there and start to develop it, compare ourselves. There are out-of-state operations that we were able to gather some, ballpark information from. But so I did that to compose the business plan. Now, but then when you start talking about farm expenses, though, that's the one I just biffed, just flat out biffed. I had, my land payments figured out. I had some equipment purchases and all that kind of stuff, but I still don't have it right. I'll be honest. It's still
11 years later and still
a
tweaking.
moving target. Because it's the growing pains. There's a reality to my business where, I invest in, let's say, in a heifer calf. Well, that heifer is going to be 3 years old before she births a calf. And then that animal is going to be in the 2 to 3 year range before they're a process ready animal.
Right.
And so there is, it's an interesting strategy to invest all of this money and then just fingers crossed.
Right, yeah. There's no, it's such a long...
can happen in 6 years.
Yeah, the timeline is tough. There's not that immediate return.
No, and then you start talking about things like the COVID ripple effect that hit me, and all of the different, economic disaster, what's going to be the next thing that might happen in a 5 or 6 year period where you've built out, okay, I think this is going to cost me this. I think this is going to yield this. This is worthwhile investing in the infrastructure. This isn't, should we buy another tractor this year? Should we, buy this, buy that? And so it's been a moving target. And then, just the way we distribute our product is also, again, a moving target. The restaurant shutdown era was tough.
I can only imagine. And there's not like farmers markets that everyone's flocking to at that time either.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, it's still a moving target on, like I said, the business plan was a guiding light in the direction I was going to go, but it was by no means a roadmap that I really originally intended it to be.
Right. Well, hey, I mean, it was good enough to secure the financing you needed and make this thing happen. And obviously you and Jen are doing something right. You're here 11 years later. You have a huge brand recognition. Mm-hmm. So everyone that I know knows of Red Frazier and knows it's good quality stuff. Yep. I've probably more questions than I've ever had for like a restaurant, because there's just all this stuff that goes into the whole process that I find fascinating. But I want to bounce back and forth a little bit and hit Twin Springs. So Smiley, you've got Twin Springs Creamery, which I became aware of maybe in the last year or so, maybe about a year ago. But I have no idea about how long you guys have been operating, but I know you're wearing the 2-stick shirt. I've seen the product in 2 sticks. I've gotten it there. I've seen it other places. So you guys are available in quite a few places in town. But tell us about the background of 2-stick, or Twin Springs.
So my partner, James Farmer, he's the brains behind it all. I just
You're the pretty face.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I'm a face. I'm not pretty. So we've been going a little over 2 years now.
Okay.
It took a while. We didn't think we'd actually get it going, and we're grade A, dairy and creamery. We're the only creamery in the southern part of the state.
Wow.
And we're the only grade A dairy in Monroe County. I think maybe in like 5 or 6 counties. There's not many dairies.
There's not a lot going around, yeah.
And we're tiny. We're only milking 12 cows.
Wow.
Right now.
Okay.
But we process everything in the farm, at the barn, low pasteurization. We do chocolate milk, regular milk. Every once in a while we do strawberry milk.
I've seen it. Oh,
Everybody's wanting the straw. I don't like the strawberry. James loves it. I don't like the strawberry. Wintertime we do eggnog. It's a pretty big hit. But it's just me and him, and then we got a couple girls that come in and bottle. Stacy Decker and Dawn Keller. They come in and bottle a couple days a week. But pretty much James' kids help a little bit around, and pretty much it's me and him. So
man, yeah.
And we both have other jobs too, so it's
I can
busy.
imagine, man.
Yeah. So the cows got to be milked every day, no matter what.
That's wild. Well, I've seen a good amount of your product, and the fact that you're doing that all with essentially a 2-man operation and 12 cows is a testament to your work.
Yeah, we do a lot of driving and delivering, and we're around each other all the time, but we hardly ever just sit down and talk.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah, we'll have to schedule a meeting to sit and talk about things, and we've seen each other every day for 2 months, and we're like, we got to sit down and talk about some things.
Yeah.
But it's busy, but it's good. It's fun.
We've had that same thing at the Chocolate Moose. Myself, Aaron, and our owner, we're always running around doing our own thing, but we eventually said, hey, we need to set 2 times weekly that we're always just going to meet and actually just have set aside to talk. Yeah. Because again, you're just running and going and you got shit going on and it's tough. So how's that the first 2 years have been? I mean, have you had some really big learning moments? Are things kind of trending the direction you were hoping?
Yeah, it got big faster than I would have thought.
I was going to say from the outside looking in, it seemed like it, or like in a good way. Yeah.
I didn't realize how many people were looking for milk, and it's going well. We never have enough. We're always running short on milk. So, but we're in, I don't even know how many stores, a bunch. Both Blooming Foods, Rose Hill are big ones. Rice's, we're at Rice's, at Babs. I'm missing a bunch, but and then we have an honor fridge at the dairy.
I was going to ask about that because I thought that's super cool that you guys do that.
So people can come and you can there's just a mail slot. You just toss some money in and get what you want out of the fridge. And we sell beef and pork out of there that I have Rice's process. And it's all the time you hear the mail slot, ding, 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 where somebody's stopping to get something. I'll be in milking it. It'd be 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and somebody will stop in and get a gallon of milk.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I wouldn't have thought it'd been that hot that quick, but it's taking off.
I love to see it. Hopefully it keeps rolling, and you guys can quit the 9-to-5s or whatever the other gigs are. And
maybe.
Yeah. You're like, let's not get too far in. Yeah. Man, Garrett pulled up the list. You got the Farmstop Collective. You got Blooming Foods, Gable's Bagels. I forgot I had seen it over there.
Yeah.
Grant Street Inn, Muddy Fork Bakery, Rice's, obviously. Caffeinated Cook out in Ellisville. We've had Amy on here, 2 Sticks. Yeah, we've had quite a few of these on the podcast too. So
it's fun to deliver to a lot of them places because I get to eat.
Yeah.
Let me check out what you got this
year.
year.
And I take my little boy with me to deliver. He knows where all the best places for the sweet stuff is.
There you go. We used to take our ice cream out there to Babs, and I would love it. We'd be like, just get paid for windshield time. Yeah. Just drive out to Spencer, go into Babs, hit up the deli counter.
Yep.
And that was before we had cheesecake bites at the Moose. And, And so I'd stop at Dairy Queen in Spencer and get one of the cheesecake bites. I'd send a picture to our owner, and then eventually he caved and we got cheesecake bites. But I love telling that story because every time I'd send him a picture of me and Dairy Queen, he's like, what the hell, man?
Cheating on me.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was like, hey, this is just a sign. If I feel the need to do this, other people might too. We need cheesecake bites. And we got them on. They're never leaving. At least not while I'm around.
There you go.
So you mentioned Rice's. Zach, you acquired Rice's a few years ago now?
2023.
Okay, yeah. And so opportunity presented itself and you just kind of saw, how it made sense with what you were already doing with Red Frazier?
Well, so this stems back to the whole business plan thing. In Indiana, there's there's basically two types of operations for bison ranchers. You either are a breeding stock operation, selling calves or yearlings to other operations, doing that, or you're a farm to table, meat operation. And so in Indiana and in the Midwest, there's not a lot of breeding stock operations that you can sell breeding stock to. I'm actually the president of the Indiana Illinois Bison Association, and we're a small group.
Yeah.
And there are ranchers in Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, but again, those numbers dwindle and dwindle and dwindle the further east you get. And so we don't have a business model until we have tiny little meat packages. And the COVID fallout for me was access to meat processing, where we had, I'll never forget, I had the weirdest COVID story because I don't have great cell service out at my farm. And so when I get buried into some projects, literally the world could be collapsing around me and I'm unaware. And so
you're just humming, singing, going about your business.
I literally went 2 full days not knowing there was a shutdown.
Really? Oh my God.
Yes. So I had rented a piece of equipment called a forestry mulcher, and we were going through and expanding some of the pastures and using this machine to cut down small stuff, overgrowth. We tried, the bison really enjoy, well, I call them savannas, where they're trees, they're woods, but it's sparse trees. There's still some sunlight that comes through. You get some grass growth, but it gives them really great cover in calving season. The pastures that have these wooded savannas are our best calving pastures. It's almost like they hold on to them until they get to those pastures. It's some protection, wind, snow, rain, whatever. And so I had rented this piece of equipment and I had it for 30 days and I needed to run it every second that I could in these 30 days. I had 45 days worth of work in 30 days to get it done in. And so myself and some of my helpers at the time, we had mapped out and we were running that thing 20 hours a day. Well, I was taking the majority of those shifts, running it 12 to 14 hours, and then I'd switch out and take one of the guys. Well, I was just camping out, running that machine, crashing for 6 or 8 hours and pop up and I jump back in it. I was listening to music, but I wasn't exactly, scrolling MSNBC or anything. And so again, while I was out there in no cell service land, I was getting calls from the processor I was using at the time. And they were calling me and they're like, hey, the schedule is filling up. Like, I'm going to hold your slots for, a couple more hours here. And then by the time I get the voicemail and call them back, where we were scheduled for 8 to 12 animals a month going there, I all of a sudden got 6 slots for all of 2020. Wow. By the time I finally figured out what was going on, got back to him, and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear from you. And I had people blowing me up to get on these animals scheduled. So, and just to keep things alive, cause like Red Frazier is a passion project. It is not it's not a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
And there bills that still had to be paid no matter what was happening. And so I started having to haul animals up to a plant in Wisconsin. And I was literally just handing all of my money to Flying J, driving back and forth. I'd haul a group of animals up there, drive home, and then I'd turn around 2 weeks later in a refrigerated box truck, drive back up there,
That's
pick it
rough,
up,
man.
bring them home, and then a couple weeks later turn around with the next load of animals just to keep things moving, and it was really taxing. It was beating me up. I'd turned into a professional truck driver, and I just wasn't, I wasn't blending into the truck stop scene as well as I would have hoped.
I thought you would have done well.
As surprising as that may be. So I started doing that, and then that was when I literally started there's only 5 processors in the state of Indiana that have the capability and the infrastructure to handle bison, and Rice's is one of those. And so and Rice's was my last call, to be honest. But I started calling all those facilities, trying to partner with them in some capacity. I came up with different little pitches for each one because I knew some of the things they needed to do that would be helpful for me, and was willing to put some money on the table just for priority booking.
Yeah.
And then finally got a hold of Tim Rice, who was he was second generation in owning Rice's Quality Meats, and got a hold of him. He wasn't really interested in any sort of partnership, but when I mentioned what I was up against, he was like, "Well, been thinking about retiring. My kids don't want to take this over, and I'm going to have to come up with a plan." And so then we just started working together to come up with a buyout strategy. That started in 2021. Full disclosure, I had an investor that I was working with at the time that just didn't pan out. And so took a little while to get the deal closed, but finally February 2023 was able to purchase and acquire Rice's. Tim stuck around for 6 or 8 months, helping me just kind of get in it. And I'm still learning, it's a very intricate business. It's a skilled business. The butchers of the world don't get the credit that the carpenters and the other trades get as being that skilled labor. They've been kind of categorized as factory workers almost, and that is not the case. There are some assembly line-esque type of tasks that we do, but it is skilled labor. I'm not a skilled butcher by any means. I'm learning different areas of the business. I'm pretty much the firefighter there at the plant. When things catch on fire, that's when I get called in. But yet still learn, I had a good grasp of the meat game, the general understanding. But Rice's has so many different awesome products that we make, that learning each individual step and recipe and process in which some of those things get made it's a lot of information. Luckily, a lot of really great people were willing to stick with me in the transition. So I've got, we've just got some, I probably don't thank them enough, but we've got some really great people there that have been able to help me keep it consistent, where we're not, the transition away from the Rice's family hasn't fallen off on any quality. And, that was my biggest concern coming into there. And that was why I wanted, everybody to know there that, I'm there to be the leader and have everyone's back but I need their knowledge. I need your skill. I need your knowledge. And luckily we're able to keep the good ones, and just been continuing to grow that. There was all sorts of rumors going around that I was going to buy the place and cancel all the beef and pork and appointments and, just leave all these people hanging and just bring my bison in. And that's not true. We're still servicing lots of local farmers like the Smiley and the guys at Twin Springs, and and a lot of the farmers market people that are out selling product. They come to us. They trust us with their animals to take their animals and turn them into that packaged product that they can take out and sell to the public, and really create the full circle local protein circuit. Super proud to be able to be a part of it, even though I will say this. I hope none of the guys at Rice's see this here doesn't get mad. But when I remember the very first load of animals I took to the butcher. I dropped them off, and I remember pulling out of there and being like, man, this is the one thing I don't ever want to be a part of in this industry. And I'll be damned if I didn't turn around and just, jump right in. And boy, and I went sprinting at it, just plugged my nose and jumped.
Funny how life has a way of working out that way.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I love having the control over, every step of the process. It gives me that validity with my customers that it's, hey, I see that animal from, the second it hits the ground until it's in that cooler, and I know what happened to it every stage along the way. It gives me an opportunity because, to be able to see the carcasses and see the process, that's how I judge how well I'm doing at the farm.
Right.
And what our practices are producing. And so it gives me really great insight into being able to understand that. And it's helped me hone in a couple things at the farm over the past couple of years too, that I'm super excited about.
Yeah. So few people get to have that perspective from both sides, and just to be able to say with the confidence, like you said, I'm getting it from birth to essentially when you're buying it and then preparing it.
Yep.
And just that pressure. I've talked about it on here a ton of taking on the pressure of the chocolate mousse brand and what that meant to people because it was in the May family for so long. Right. And you having that with Rice's, where it's like, oh, this new guy come in, his last name's not Rice.
Yep.
What's he going to do? Is the quality still going to be there? But yeah, that transition period, and like you said, him staying on for 6 to 8, like that's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you kept the good people because they saw you get in there. They're like, oh, he's willing to get in here and do the dirty work himself. He's not just sitting back trying to collect a check. Like you're learning, you're doing it. Yeah. And I think that shows a lot. So that's awesome that you've been able to kind of hold up that standard,
Check. Coming to you this summer, it's the Smithville Communications Summer Concert Series in Ellettsville. Brought to you by B97 and Hoosier Country 105.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Enjoy live music every Saturday from May 24th through July 26th. That's 10 weeks of music every Saturday evening from 6:30 to 8. Located at the Marcy Jane Lewis Park. And did I mention it's free? Dance the night away with the Smithville Communications Summer Concert Series in Ellettsville.
Better business, better community. For over a century, the Greater Bloomington Chamber of Commerce has been a cornerstone of business growth and community development. They are dedicated to helping local businesses thrive. Their business is all about your business. Join the Chamber today. Call 812-336-6381 or visit chamberbloomington.org to learn more.
No, and Tim's still an amazing. The Rice family is still, he's on speed dial. He still lives next door. I'm able to run outside and flag him down if there's an issue. And so, I've definitely still got, that support from the Rice family.
I love
because
that.
they want to see that everything continue. They don't want to see me fail.
My phone was blowing up all I got was phone calls. Buffalo farmers bought it, and they're not gonna do anything but their own buffalo.
Yeah. Oh,
and
man.
I was like, what? Because through the fair and 4-H and all that stuff and the sale, they were, what are we gonna do? He's just gonna do buffalo. I said, we'll figure it out.
Wait,
and
hold
it's
up.
been nothing but a blessing.
Yeah.
It's been amazing working with them.
Yeah. Well, obviously the Rice family trusted you. You know what I mean? They're not, if they didn't, they might have said, hey, you can have it, but you got to change the name or something,
Right. Yeah.
For them to say, hey, you're keeping our namesake that we've built over generations. They obviously got to know you and know that you're going to do it and do it right.
Yep. No. And they knew that I had the motivation to really be there and do what needs to happen. I came up in a construction background, and so I also have, some of the skill set needed outside of the meat portion because, the meat cutting is definitely something, but, keeping the equipment running, the facility maintained, that's a whole nother beast that you got to have some background of that information information in that arena to be able to, keep things moving on the meat side. And so that was an advantage I really had in Red Frazier and with Rice's. is that, I luckily came up, busting hump as a grunt laborer
There you
in
go.
the construction world, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, man, that's gotta be tough doing having the processing and the farm all on your plate. How many? I meant to ask you earlier. How many acres is the Bison farm?
So the original property was 225 acres, and then we got we're blessed with the opportunity where a neighbor that had 100 acres adjoining the farm.
Nice.
When he unfortunately passed away, because he was awesome, like as far as a neighbor goes, and a shout out to Dave Jennings. But when he passed, we were able to acquire his property, and so been just growing. So we're hovering a little over 320 acres now.
Cool. Now you mentioned the products at Rice's, and we got to talk at least about. I got buddies that they're making trips. They're like, hey man, I'm going to Rice's. You want anything? I'm loading up. I'm stocking up the cooler. You guys do all these different types of flavors, sausages, you name it.
Yep.
Can you run us a little bit through some of these product offerings?
So yeah, there's a wide range in all species. We've got all sorts of different flavor options and whatnot for each species. In the hog side of the world, we've got I don't even know how many. We're still even just because I inherited an incredible list of recipes, approved recipes, because it is a process to be able to get a label approved with different recipes. You have to adhere to all the production processes, and then the labeling requirements, are just and everything are stringent. And so but we probably run 8 to 10 at any given time, different varieties of bratwurst. We have all different flavors of sausages. We have, when it comes to like breakfast sausages, like we've been doing a lot of cool stuff with blueberries. Like,
Okay, yeah.
And the fruit integration portion, apples and blueberries have been our big kick lately.
Oh, yeah.
Our apple brats are awesome. And then we've been doing blueberry sausage links, breakfast sausage links that have just been killing it.
Have a little bit of like a maple flavor in there too.
Yeah,
yeah.
Maple and blueberry.
Now we're talking about.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a blueberry fan.
Yeah.
And then we've got our maple egg and cheese sausage links that are just out of this world.
Ooh,
So
I might have to
really
do
doing a
those.
lot of cool stuff with that. And then we've got a lot of great cooked product where we're doing like different varieties of hot dogs. We have this one chili cheese infused hot dog.
I had it.
Man,
So good, dude.
just-
That's my buddy's favorite. Yeah.
I remember when I first came in, I hadn't had it, and just watched them just flying off of the shelf, and I thought, well, I better try a pack of that, and wow, they're phenomenal. And so then as far as that goes, we've got our different summer sausages, which are very popular. We have some really great summer sausage that we make with a spicy. We have different cheddar and pepper jack cheese additives. We make some really great snack sticks that are great for just, traveling type snacks, high protein snacks. And then on the beef side, our summer sausages, and then we do a really great line of jerkies. We have a whole muscle jerky line, and then what we call our grind and form jerky line. And we got one of my Justin C. I mean, he is our.
Oh yeah,
Justin is
I'm glad you're shouting him out.
He is
I
our
love
meat
Justin.
guru, our meat wizard.
He's
I
the
like
man,
that. Our
yeah.
meat wizard. And Justin has just really stepped our jerky game up.
Hell yeah.
I mean, even taking what the Rice's has done and what the Rice's family has built, and he's just taken the jerky stuff to a new level.
That's awesome, man.
He's a stud out there.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
I'm a big fan, and boy, I tell you what, there are days I just am just grateful to have him
Yeah,
around.
oh yeah.
Because meat wizard that's the best way to put it for him.
You got to get business cards with that on it.
Yeah,
for him.
no, I think you're right. And then Red Frazier developed a bison cheesesteak egg roll that we developed on the food trailer years ago. I found a local Indiana egg roll co-packer up in Napanee, Indiana, and so they're now producing our egg rolls for us, and we've got our egg rolls for sale at the plant, and it's one of our bigger selling items. It's just, and yeah, it's just awesome.
It's so good. I mean, you guys used to do Food Truck Friday fairly consistently the year that we were at the Herald Times.
Yep.
And man, every week I was looking forward to getting those egg rolls, dude.
No, the egg rolls are great. And then we sell our Red Frazier bison meat there, a variety of different, fresh case pork and beef cuts. But then we have our specialty stuff that I was just talking about.
Oh yeah. Well, I can't remember. I think this is going to come out before Memorial Day. Hopefully it does, so people can go out there and just load up.
Yes.
Because I'm sitting here the whole time you're talking. I'm like, I'm going to have people over Memorial Day. Like I'm coming out there. I'm making a trip.
Get the brats.
Stock in the
brats.
cooler. Oh yeah, we're going to do it right. People are going to be like, damn, dude, where's this shit
Where'd
from?
this come from?
Smiley, you mentioned 4-H and auctions. One of the main reasons you guys are here.
Yes.
Talk about this 4-H auction that's coming up. Fill us in on the details.
So I'm on the livestock sale committee, and I'm livestock chairman with Monroe County 4-H. We have an auction every year at the end of the fair, and the 4-Hers can choose one large animal and sell it, whether it be a beef, hog, goat, or sheep. And we're working with Reins to do what do you want to call it?
So I was going to call it the Rice's 4-H program.
Okay.
Is kind of where I landed.
Yeah.
Is this the No Dishes exclusive? The new name?
This is the first time. I honestly almost called you earlier. I was like, what do you think about this name?
Sounds good to me.
All right, business is happening live.
Yeah,
Yes.
tell them about the options, and then I'll tell them what we're going to do on that.
So when someone goes to the auction, you have the option to keep it, the animal. Say you go to the auction and you buy beef, and you buy so-and-so steer. You have the option to keep it and send it to where you want to process it, which I would recommend Rice's, and then you get the meat. Or you can ship it, and that means the animal is floor priced at market value, and when you pay that, you pay the total minus the floor price, and then that animal's gone and you don't have it. Or you can donate it, and it goes to one of the local food banks, and
Awesome.
and then Rice's processes it, and it gets delivered to, I don't even know how many there is. There's several food banks.
Yeah, well, the Hoosiers Feeding the Hungry is the biggest one that then distributes out to the different, just a bunch of different church operations that they send at different food banks. So they basically come in and you donate. You've paid for the animal. Hoosiers Feeding the Hungry steps in and pays for the processing, and then they distribute it out to all different food banks.
And this year, the bill will be split in half. So Hoosiers Feeding the Hungry is paying for half, and Tri-Kappa is paying for the other half.
Oh, very
So there's
cool.
actually a dinner going on right now that I was going to go to. And Greg and Karen Young are they're the king and queen of the livestock sale.
Okay.
They're at that dinner receiving a check from Tri-Kappa to cover the other half of what the bill would be for the donation animals. So shout out to them.
For like the processing bill.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's super cool.
And that's Karen and Greg Young of Young Trucking.
Young Truck.
Okay.
Young
Yeah, and
trucking.
then I know Tri-Kappa just does a lot of cool stuff
yeah.
in the
They really
community
do.
too. A lot of really involved members of the community that are part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we're working with Rice's to do what'd you call it? The
Rice's 4-H
4-H
program.
program. So I'll let you know more about
Yeah,
that.
so,
That's your
You're like, tee it up.
Well, so we're trying to come up where this year is a new concept. This is a new approach to things, to where, like Smiley mentioned, the Ship It program, where you buy a steer or a hog or a goat or a sheep or whatever, and then we have a livestock expert, we'll call him, sets what the market price would be, the market value of that. And so if you say, hey, I want to buy this steer, you buy it for a certain amount of money, well then Rice's, and you want to send it to the Rice's 4-H program. So then Rice's will pay you the buyer the market price for that animal, and then you pay whatever you paid above that. And just so everyone's clear, like, this is any businesses out there, you know, like, this is a tax deductible
Awesome
purchase.
Super cool. Yeah.
Like, get that out there, that this is a good way to help the community and still get your you know, your local charitable contributions in, you know. And so then the Rice's 4-H program. So then Rice's will buy that animal at market value. We'll bring it back to the plant, process it, and then we will create custom labels for each animal. And that custom label is going to give you the name of the kid that raised the animal, and then also the name of the person or business that bought that animal. And so what we want to do is then we're going to take and we're going to dedicate some cooler space to only the 4-H, local 4-H program. And we're going to sell those products individually. We're going to cut it up into all of the prime steaks and different brats and whatever species. And then it's kind of my goal to really just give the businesses and the people of the community another opportunity to get their name and product out on there, and just keeping everything as local as possible. You know, if someone wants to buy one of these animals and put it in their freezer, like, more power to you. If you're going to buy it, donate it to the food banks, more power to you. But if you want to maybe just expand your advertising circle, because I mean, in my mind, people are going to come in. You know, if you can't go to the 4-H auction and drop, you know, whatever amount of money on an animal, well, you could still come to Rice's and buy yourself a couple evenings worth of steaks or burgers or hams or bacon or whatever, and still support the 4-H circle.
That's perfect.
And keep everything kind of local, and just give those people an opportunity who just maybe don't have that kind of money but still want to be involved. Or
right,
space.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people have a freezer to hold a 1,400-pound steer.
Absolutely.
And but yeah, it's going to work out well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the date? What are the details on how people can be there?
July 5th, at 10 o'clock at the fairgrounds is the auction. It's a horrible time. Popular day the day before, so maybe everybody,
Little bet.
yeah, come off the boat and
Just wake up, get yourself some coffee, make yourself some B's and G's, and head on out to the
Grab your
auction.
checkbook, head on down.
Yeah, there'll be breakfast there. There'll be coffee, milk.
Perfect.
Milk.
We bring milk there.
Now, can
donuts.
people, do they need to bring a checkbook? Is it cash? Can they do a credit? How does all that payment work?
Be check. I think people's will take credit.
I think
cards.
they'll take a card. People's State Bank kind of orchestrates all
nice.
of and shout out to them.
Gary at People's State Bank
Okay.
is
They do
he's
an
the money
incredible job.
wizard.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's the money man. He makes a lot of stuff happen
Yep.
in a very short time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's very good at what he does.
It's quick. It happens fast.
Yeah.
All right. Now, so if I come out there and I'm just like, all right, I want to buy this hog, you know, I pay for the hog, and then can I have it paid to go directly to Rice's to be processed and then pick that up, or how does
As
that?
soon as you win the auction,
Yeah.
you make your decision about where you want that animal to go.
Okay.
So there are other processors available
Right.
there. Rice's is one of. And so you can say, I'm going to keep it. I want to keep it for myself, and I want to send it to Rice's.
Okay.
Or I want to donate it.
Right.
I
Community
want
kitchen.
to the community kitchen.
Okay.
All the donated animals will go to Rice's because they're they have to be inspected to
be able to get out in that circuit.
Right.
so you don't really have a choice of where they go, the donated animals,
Right.
but you can choose which entity
You want it to go to.
yeah, the
That's
product
super
to go
cool
to.
that you could be like, hey, specifically the community kitchen,
Yeah.
or specifically Hoosier Hills Food Bank, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever partner is part of it.
Yep.
And-
I love that.
And everything is staying, like he said, local now, because before the ship-its, you know, there's not a large market for hogs like there was 40 years ago. So a lot of times those will go on a truck and go to Peoria or
Okay.
Iowa or whatever, and, you know, 2 states away. But now everything's going to stay probably within 20 miles of where it was.
That's so
raised,
cool.
and hopefully consumed everything within 20 miles, and I think it'll be great for the
Sweet.
program.
So yeah, you pay for whatever you buy, and then let's say again you wanted to send it to a processor, and then you have your bill with the processor separately.
If you keep it.
Right, if you kept it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. If you donate it, it's that processing bill. Obviously, if a business would like to pay the bill, I'm sure there's something
There's a
that they can do.
mechanism.
But that's all taken care of.
Okay.
The processing for the donations and the ship it, like he said, the money difference will be paid. You know, if say we floor price a hog at 75 cents a pound, and you pay $2 a pound, you know, you're going to pay minus the 75 cents if you say ship it.
$1.25 at the end of the day for the buyer.
It's just for a tax write-off. That animal's gone. You don't retain any of it, but you get your tax write-off.
Okay.
And you're helping lots of kids.
So I'm thinking this through for myself, if you can't tell, where I'm just like,
Right.
what's this
Wheels
like?
are turning.
Oh, 100%. I'm like, man, I haven't bought a whole cow myself before, but I might. We got extra chest freezers at the booth. Lovey won't notice one missing.
Yeah.
Go to my garage. So what's
all these kids' hard work.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it's I don't know. I love going out there at the fair, seeing what they're all doing, and seeing them showing the animals, and it's always such a good time. And it's just, I mean, I started working in restaurants when I was 15, but like this is just such a great way, much younger than 15, that kids are getting involved, learning, you know, the value of $1, learning the value of hard work, and just to be able to support that with so many different community partners and making one thing happen is really, really cool.
Yep. It's one big family.
Yeah. Hell yeah,
It
man.
is.
So can you ballpark what, you know, a pig might typically cost or a full cow?
It's
I know it's got to be all over the place.
because there will be it's the responsibility ultimately of these, one of the many lessons that these 4-H kids learn along the way. One of them is selling their product. And so they're the ones, these kids are out recruiting businesses to come and bid on their animals. They're recruiting, not just businesses, people.
Yeah.
People, businesses, all the above. They're out there recruiting. So some of these kids that have really busted tail to get out there and recruit, they can create some bidding wars.
I love it.
And you know, they're like, and
It
you
can
know,
get wild.
It
Hell
can get
yeah.
wild, yeah, and they can create some bidding wars that, you know, people are because at the end of the day, that kid gets 100% of that.
Yeah, there's a small fee for the bank.
Right.
I mean,
of course,
minute.
processing.
Right, yeah.
A minute fee, but that kid gets that, and so we're talking. What's the youngest? 10.
Well, third grade.
Third grade.
Third grade. It's now third grade through senior. It used to be an age, but now it's third grade.
Okay.
You can sell.
So, you know, these kids are out there busting tail to recruit buyers, to build their product, to raise their animal, to do all that. And, you know, these kids are saving for college. They're saving for, you know, buying their first car or
Next year's
buying their
project.
next year's
Right.
project animal. And so the like I know that I show up there and I get a lot of kids that are coming up to me. They've got flyers, you know, talking about what they've done for that animal, how they got the process all the way through, and they're really putting it out there. And it's one of the many lessons that these kids learn along the way. And so, I mean, supporting this goes well and beyond, above and beyond even the agricultural side of these. I mean, the 4-H program is teaching these kids like how to operate in the world.
Yeah, of course.
And it's a
Community
program.
service.
Yes. And it's a program. It wasn't until Rice's that I was able to get more involved with the 4-H program. I knew of the 4-H program. I've been a business owner in Bloomington for 22 years, and not until 2023 did I realize what this program was all about, what the benefits were, and honestly, looking back, kind of kicking myself in the rear for not ever, as a business owner, not ever getting involved.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of like full steam ahead in trying to figure out ways to not rock the boat too much with the committee, but, you know, kind of come at this from some new perspective and some new eyes, because it was just, you know, these kids, they learn the life cycle of these animals. It's a terminal sale. So all of these animals are going to slaughter into the meat market. And so these kids are walking their animals to, most of the parents make them walk their animal to the trailer, knowing what that's going. And some of these kids, I mean, that's tough. It's tough. It's really tough. It's tough. But I mean, it gives them some real perspective on how the world turns. And, you know, Kroger doesn't raise ribeyes.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
They come from somewhere.
They come from somewhere, and they come from someone's hard work. And these kids know what kind of work it takes to get there, and then they walk that animal to the trailer. And I mean, just the first time I was there watching them load, and everybody tried to prep me, I was not prepared.
Yeah.
I was not prepared.
And you'll get them that, you know, that are super upset, and you'll get other ones that are like, here you go.
Been here, done this. I've been doing it since I was in third grade.
They get callous to it, and some of them don't, and that's fine. But yeah, it's different.
It's different.
I bet. Well, I was going to even ask about that earlier about raising bison and just being like, do you ever have one that you get attached to? That
All
like,
the time.
This one's staying a pet, or you know what I mean? Like that's tough
all the time.
But yeah,
I've got bottle babies right now. Where I had a cow. I had 3 last year. There were some first time calving heifers that they had their calf and they just didn't know what to do. It happens. Had 3 of them that we bottle fed every 4 hours. I mean, you know, and they're like little pets, you know, and I'd be damned if I didn't have a cow that had twins this spring, just maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh man.
And she made a decision about which was the stronger one. And so I went out and we grabbed that calf up, and now we're bottle feeding it. You know, we're not going to, most of the time nature would run its course, but you know, humans are going to step in and intervene, and I'm intervening, and we're going to bottle raise that, and it's going to be a tough day.
Wow, man.
He invited me to the roundup. I've worked some pretty ornery cows, and there ain't nothing like a bison.
Oh, I bet, man.
That was eye opening, and my wife and little boy went with me, and he got to bottle feed one of the little babies, and he's bottle fed calves and stuff. He's 6. He's bottle fed all kinds of calves, but that was different.
That was different. Yeah.
I mean, they're just such majestic creatures.
Oh, yeah.
The one time I was out at the ranch, man, like I was just speechless watching them just grazing, moving around, and but they're just the power they have too is crazy. Just their sheer size is nuts.
No, hanging out with the herd is my happy place for sure.
I bet.
You know, some of the days roll on, I'll come driving home just frustrated as all hell, and just drive straight out into the herd and just kind of sit there, and it's pretty incredible. Like, they've got their own little community. Like, they've got a pecking order. There are leaders. There are, you know, foot soldiers. There's, right now we're in the midst of calving season. And so we call it, every year there will be a watchdog that'll be kind of appointed. And so now if I go out to the herd and there's this one cow, and every year it's a different cow, but there's this one cow right now that if anybody is, I can tell just pulling up to the gate if there's a cow out there giving birth, because the second she sees me, she is at the gate, guarding, watching me. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. And they're survivors. You know, there's survivors. They haven't had the human intervention that most of our livestock species have bred into domestication and whatnot.
Right.
You know, they just don't have that. Now, granted, the bottle babies are pretty cute, you know, and they nuzzle up on you. But, like, you know, I went and fed last year's bottle babies before I came in here. And as I'm in there giving them a little grain, all of a sudden one of them comes up and gives me a big nudge and hooked my belt with his horn and lifted me off the ground.
Whoa.
I mean, he's tiny and still weighs about 300 pounds.
Jeez.
And damn near knocked me over, you know. And that's the real fine line with some of these, is because, like, yeah, they're great. They don't get anything out of killing you and eating your flesh. Like, they gain nothing by that. but they are just so powerful. They're like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
And they've got such intense fight or flight instincts that if they decide to fight, you're not fast enough to get away. And B, if they choose flight and you're standing in the way, they will not sidestep you.
Right.
They're going
from A to B.
They're going to survive,
Yeah.
and you do not matter, And so, like, everybody
Doesn't matter if you bottle fed them.
Yeah.
everybody asks me, like, "Oh, I've heard they're really mean." It's like, they're not mean. You just can't be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
You got to be smart, and you got to understand the bison and understand the animal.
The No Dishes podcast is brought to you by VisitBloomington.com. VisitBloomington.com is the best resource for restaurant and culinary information, special events, fun activities, places to stay, and more in our area. We share a similar mission here on the No Dishes podcast of highlighting local businesses and the people who make our community unique. We can't thank them enough for hopping on board. Check them out at visitbloomington.com to easily plan your next meal, visit, or night out on the town. The Bloomington Town Planner is a community calendar owned and published by local residents John and Sharon Martin. Mailed out to Bloomington homes in December of each year, it features school schedules and community events. And don't forget the coupons at the bottom of the calendar. They'll save you money and help you decide on the next restaurant or retailer to check out here in the Bloomington area. Town Planner also has an online calendar which will be found at townplanner.com. Make sure to sign up for their weekly e-newsletter so you can stay on top of all the fun events going on around town. Well, what are the precautions that you take to keep yourself out of harm's way while you're maintaining the herd?
So that stems back to the infrastructure on the corral system. And so I've made some mistakes in my original build, but I've learned a lot of things. And so I've learned their pressure zones, and how I can put pressure on them without running up, because like I've sorted beef cows and whatnot before, and sometimes you get a stubborn one, you run up and smack them on the butt with a switch or something like that. Well, you don't do that with bison, but there's a certain pressure zone that you can put on them to get them, because they like I said, there's no benefit to killing you. They don't really want to get into a scrap with you. And so if you put the right pressure on them, you can generally get them to move in the right direction that you're wanting to go. And then once you get them, and so out in the pasture, when they have the space to get away from you, like if they've all of a sudden decided that they don't like you being around, they have space to leave. They can walk away and not feel pressured. But when I get them into the pressured areas in the corral, where we're gonna narrow them down and start breaking them down from small groups into smaller groups down into individuals, then the pressure kicks in. And so that's where everything is 7 feet tall, and we use ropes on gates. We don't get in there with them in those high pressure zones. And that's where Smiley was helping us work on at Roundup. And I mean, they get out of hand, when they feel that pressure and they've got that fight or flight instinct. It doesn't matter which one they choose, it's still intense.
Oh, yeah. Man, I bet.
And so you just have to have the infrastructure to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And I've piecemealed it together over the years. I've broken stuff and fixed it and learned my lessons. And I've got a bull issue right now where I've got a 7-year-old bull that's challenging my 8-year-old bull. They started beating on each other to try to figure out who was going to be top dog this year, and pushed each other through a fence. And, they were trotting down the road when one of my neighbors called me a couple months ago. And so I separated them, just trying to, because honestly, as I pushed them back onto the property, one of them kind of ran over here into this pasture, and the other one took off into another. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, great. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Sorted yourself. That's exactly what I wanted." And but then the 7-year-old bull, he's he's not happy that 8-year-old bull is still on the property, because in the wild, when they get exiled out of the herd and beat out and lose their breeding spot, they generally wander off into Never Never Land to never be seen again.
Huh.
Well, and right now, he can still see him.
Yeah.
He's
What's
still,
this guy still doing here? Yeah.
Because I was kind of hoping it would settle down and I could put them back out together. And that 7-year-old bull, once I got the 8-year-old bull up in the corrals and was just kind of, trying to figure out what to do, next thing I know, that 7-year-old's like in the barn lot every day. And he has to jump 4 or 5 5-foot tall fence lines to get there. And, when he first showed up in the barn lot, I came home from work one day and he was standing out there and just standing on each side of the fence staring at that 8-year-old bull. And they were just staring at each other. Nothing had happened, but they were just staring at each other. I thought, oh man, this is not good. I'm thinking, as I see him, I'm like, my God, what did he wreck on his way up here? So I push him back out back in with the herd, just kind of trailing him with my Jeep and get him back out with the herd, and then I start going and look for down fences and whatnot. I couldn't find anything. He was clearing these 5-foot fences and not leaving a mark behind.
Wild.
And so I'm
thinking, and how big is this is real heavy.
He weighs probably 2,200 pounds right now.
Jeez.
It's like a battleship.
That's a literal ton.
Oh yeah.
That's wild.
And like apparently ballerina style, clearing this 5-foot fence.
You wouldn't think they'd be jumpers.
No. That's what I mean. Yeah.
And so then I push him back out there. The next day I get home, he's in the damn barn lot again. But this time they're going at it with the fence in between them, just wrecking the fence. And then I know. Well, and then the one time I let him into the corral, and then the next time I got stupid and forgot that they were going to be on opposite sides of the fence. I was trying to catch the herd for roundup, and they got on the opposite sides of the fence, just went at it, mangled it, smashed a gate, just all hell broke loose. And so then I probably 4 or 5 times I had to push this guy back out into the herd. So eventually when he was up there for this last time, it was just like, well, you obviously aren't listening to my suggestions about where I want you to stay. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to pull you off the herd. I'm going to put this 8-year-old back out there. And so then literally last night, I'm like, okay, this is the right moment. They're in the right pasture to where I can keep an eye on them. I send that 8-year-old bull back out into the herd, and then I had my dad post up on the road just in case something got hairy. I went to the back corner of that pasture so I was standing near a gate, and I was like, all right, we're going to send him out there and see what happens. And I see the herd, the cows all start to circle him, and then the bulls figure out what's going on. And this other 6-year-old bull in there was all of a sudden like, hey, you've been gone for 2 months. I'm top dog now. And stepped up and whooped that 8-year-old bull.
Damn.
Started chasing him. And the 8-year-old, he's probably closer to 23, 20. He's bigger than these other ones. He's a large fella. And that other bull put him on his ass. And then next thing I know, that bull, that 8-year-old, is sprinting, sees me at the gate and starts just sprinting toward me with the other bulls right on his tail.
Save me.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm sitting there like,
they're picking on me.
Oh no. Oh no, So I open the gate real fast and he just darts off, and then I scream and yell and cut the other ones off. And then he just stands there and stares at me like he's thinking, like, buddy, I've never been so glad to see you standing next to a gate in my life. And this was last night.
That's wild, man.
And so then this morning I went and got him. I caught him and put him back up where he was, and I got to figure out what to do.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild.
But
just the power dynamics is so fascinating, man.
It's all survival instincts, I've learned a lot about masculinity and survival when it comes to bison. And I mean, there are just certain things that it takes to survive, and it it takes a strong bull to lead that herd. And if you're not the strongest bull, well, you're
not gonna work
in
out.
the herd.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Man, I'm just like,
that was my random story. I was like,
No,
that was like last night.
well, normally when I tell people before we start, I forgot to tell you, I was like, stories are great. Stories are
great.
good. Like we
Yeah.
love stories. Stories are, fantastic. Yeah, this whole time I'm just like, man, I'm gonna hit up Panama and just be like, hey, can I help you out today? I'm gonna get out, like, put me to work. I
Just
don't care.
come and see this.
No, exactly. Just to hang out and just like be around. Just I don't know. It just seems really cool. But I know it's not easy work.
It's
No.
interesting.
Yeah,
No, it's
Shit, I've been around cows my whole life, and this was
whole nother ball
eye-opening.
game. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I it's so okay. I got one more story about Rice's, right? This
Yeah,
was I didn't own the place, taking some animals there to process. This was years and years ago, and I'm standing out back, getting ready to unload, and was just waiting on the guys on the inside to get ready, and standing there, just kind of kicking back, waiting on them, and this other old boy. This beef farmer comes pulling up around the corner, and he gets out of his truck and walks up and looks in the trailer, and he goes, "Buffalo, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." And he turns around to me and he goes, "You got to be a special kind of stupid to raise these guys." And I'm like, couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah,
pal.
like my mom said the same thing about it. Yeah.
Special kind of stupid.
At least you're special.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Like, you're saying I'm special?
I took it as a compliment.
Yeah, I love that. That's so. Yeah, you're like, I got a few screws loose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, tell me real quick. What do you know off the top of your head? Some of the local Bloomington restaurants that are doing Red Frazier.
Absolutely. So honestly, I got to give a shout out to Upland.
Yeah.
Upland was my very first restaurant customer. We got in the Bloomington location, and they're still a locally minded company to where I wasn't ready to supply all of their stores, and so they were able, they got me in the Bloomington location first. Got me menu placement right away. We're a real backer of the brand. Like, got to give a massive shout out to Upland. They've just been supporters from day one. Now Red Frazier has product at all of their locations.
Awesome.
They also stock the Bison cheesesteak egg roll at all the locations, and so that's another huge shout out. But then Brew Burger is one of our other really big customers. We supply all of the Brew Burgers. Bloomington just recently got a location to open up, which is cool. But the Cunningham group has also been very supportive over our growth periods. Red Frazier is at every Brew Burger all across the state. There's even a couple outside of the state, I think, like Louisville, maybe like Cincinnati.
Yeah, because I know like CRG, the Cunningham Restaurant Group, they've got a ton of restaurants, but their number one brand is like Brew Burger as far as the most locations.
Yeah, and if I had enough supply, they would have one of my products at most of their restaurants.
Right.
I can't thank them enough for the support. Brew Burger's a huge customer. Like I said, if we had more of the steaks and whatnot, those other cuts, then we would definitely have more product placement at their upper end restaurants. As far as Bloomington goes, the Butcher's Block is a huge supporter of Red Frazier. Outside of what we carry at Rice's, the Butcher's Block has the widest variety of Red Frazier products.
Okay.
But then we also have some products at Blooming Foods and then the Rose Hill Farmstop. But Upland and Brew Burger are our biggest restaurant in the area. But then we get up in Indianapolis, and we've got a lot of great support in Indy. The Samir at 9th Street Bistro on the north side of Indy, which if anybody is in the north side of Indy, 9th Street Bistro, like the spot.
Okay.
He does a really good menu change, local seasonal options, and just a huge supporter. Fantastic group, husband and wife. They're amazing.
I feel like I just heard about them kind of recently and was putting it on my radar to go by there.
Samir is the most recent. James Beard.
That's what it was. Because I saw that and I'm like, oh man, they're getting James Beard recognition. Like, I need to go check this place out. Because as soon as you said that, I was like, I think that's that place.
Yep. Samir is the most recent Indianapolis James Beard, I believe, finalist. And don't quote me on that. I think you're right though. I think it was finalist because I know there's some people like if semifinal. Regardless, if you're even getting in that conversation, absolutely,
you're knocking it out of the park.
Yep. No, and he's even thrown some Rice's products on the menu. Can't give those guys enough credit for just the support.
That's great, man. Well, last thing we always talk about is where we like to go out to eat, where we like to feed ourselves. You know, Smiley, you got some favorite spots that you hit up.
Well, obviously, you can tell I don't have a least favorite. Yeah. I can do that anywhere. I'm a big Mother Bears fan.
Okay, yeah. I did stop by the campus store, got a slice yesterday. It was perfect.
I eat a lot of Jiffy Treat.
There you go.
Ellisville
Jiffy Treat.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's a very common summer meal when she brings me food in the fields. I eat their tenderloins 3 times a week probably because they're open and she can go through the drive-thru and get it and bring it to me in the hayfield, and I eat it while I'm on the tractor and go back to work. Mother Bears, me and my boy are a pretty big Mother Bears fan.
I love Mother Bears, man.
Yeah,
it's so good. Mark, one of their owners, been on here a couple times, and we literally are crying, laughing by the end. By the time we're done,
So Mark and I, we were in the dorms our freshman year at IU together.
No way.
So Mark lived in Teeter, right next door to one of my old high school buddies, and I was down at Reed.
That's wild.
And I've known Mark for forever.
I could see, just knowing both of you independently, I could see you two being
hysterical.
Yeah. Oh, hilarious.
Yeah, and I mean, he brings that Chicago charm to Bloomington, and boy, I tell you, I can't get enough of it.
He cracks me up, man. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. But he's one of those people that he worked his way up. Like he can crank out pizzas with the best of them. You know, he's the leads by example.
Yeah,
you know, there's nothing he's going to ask someone to do that he hasn't done themselves.
No, he started in there. I mean, doing just nothing, making pizzas. You know, and then worked his way up to a part owner.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
And we live in Spencer, so I don't know how far out we're going, but
no, show some love out there.
Civilian Brewery.
Oh, dude, it's so good, man. I've actually been in there before.
Yeah. And Jits.
The Thai Bistro. Yeah. We set up, we were doing some event out there and they were next to us and tried it because we'll go out and do ice cream for the Lions Club for the Owen County Fair. Yeah. Then, like I said, we used to deliver to Babs out there. So we actually, Chocolate Mousse gets out to Spencer, Owen County probably more than you would realize. But what's the other spot? I went to Papi Chulo's for the first time and that was really good.
We've been there several times, but Spencer don't have much, but what we got's pretty good.
I think for the size of Spencer, you guys are just like Bloomington, punching above weight class. Like there's a lot of good food options in Spencer. To have a good Thai bistro, to have a good brewery, have a good Mexican restaurant. I know there's a handful of other places, diners and stuff. You got a lot. And you got Dairy Queen.
And they just remodeled Dairy Queen.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I got the big spoon out front. I saw
big plastic spoon. Giant, about a 10, 12-foot spoon. I don't know what they done, but there's more people going to Dairy Queen now than that place is packed now.
There you go. Ice cream business is good, man.
It's good,
yeah. We love seeing our friends at Jiffy Treat do well. I was texting Hartzell today, and he was actually supposed to call me before we started this. Or actually, no, he said after 6:30. Perfect. That's what it was. Well, sweet guys. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on and talk Red Frazier and Rice's. Go check them out. Check out Twin Springs Creamery. But most importantly, 4-H auction, July 5th, Monroe County Fairgrounds, 10 a.m. Is there anything, do people need to pre-register? Should they show up at 9:30?
Well, show up a little early. Get your. Do they have
Bidders
bidding
packet.
Numbers?
Yeah.
You
Do you actually get to hold up a number?
No.
Oh, no.
I can make you one if you want to come. I'll make you a number one.
Number one. Number one wins again.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But yeah, they'll give you a bidders packet. I think they give out, I don't know. I'm always in the back moving pigs around, but we give out meal vouchers.
Cool.
So you can go to different stands. I don't know. I don't even remember.
I can't remember the dollar amount.
But you get little tickets. You can take it to the food stands and go down and get you some.
JD's got ribeyes.
I don't know if he was there. Was he there last
He
year?
was there last year.
I don't get out of the barns.
yeah, I was
no,
gonna say-
he's working the whole
All I'm
time.
doing is going from barn to barn to barn, and then she drags me out one trip. We make a trip through the commercial building, and it's like pulling teeth to get me to go out, and then the boy wants to go through the midway once. We got to go over there and do that in the carny section, but yeah, it's a good time. Come support 4-H'ers and all the hard work they do.
No, I can't emphasize more that if you're a business out there looking for the right charitable contribution stuff, to really give some serious thought into the 4-H program.
Yeah. Well, next year we'll chat, and I'd love to see if I can help facilitate getting this in front of restaurant owners.
Yes.
And trying to get them out there, see whatever I can do. But for this year, I'm going to see if I can go out there by myself.
get yourself
buy
on.
myself a hog or something. You can't tell I'm excited.
Yeah.
I could have talked to you guys for hours more. I have so many more questions about both of your operations. We didn't get into your backgrounds, but just another excuse to have you guys back. But thanks for all the hard work. Thanks for everything you do in the community. And thanks for taking the time to come on, guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. What another fun episode, huh, gang? Thanks to Visit Bloomington, as always, for being our presenting sponsors. Thanks to Everywhere Science for this cool sign. Nate and team hooked it up. And thanks to you for watching so we can keep doing this. See you next Tuesday morning with another new episode of the No Dishes Podcast. This episode of the No Dishes Podcast was recorded, edited, and produced by Garrett Portinga of Green Hat Media in beautiful downtown Bloomington, Indiana.
No Dishes Media.
No Dishes Media.